Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. No relation, we just have the same name. And today we are cleaning, sincerely, the dirtiest, worst house we've cleaned on the entire channel. And before we get into it, I want to say that one, we're not going to show the toilet being cleaned because it's so bad that I don't actually feel comfortable showing it on video. And two, you're going to see the biggest bathtub transformation you've ever seen on any video, not just my channel. It is insanity. Another thing to point out, this is not hoarding. This is a combination of many things, which most of these houses are often a combination of many situations. This guy owned the house, he had a really good job, and he got a major injury that caused him to lose his job. That in turn caused what I believe to be a full-blown mental breakdown. And as you can see from these shots, severe alcoholism. In that mental state and in that addiction and with the loss of income, he eventually got behind on all of his bills, including his property taxes. His water and gas were shut off, and eventually he lost the house. Now, fortunately, there's an upside to this. He was put into a nursing home because clearly, as you can see, and as we go through this house more and more, you'll see it worse and worse. He cannot take care of himself. He was going to the bathroom in a 3-gallon bucket in his living room and then capping it off with a fallen ceiling tile. And yes, I had to carry that outside. We found no fewer than 6 urine jugs, and we found roughly about 200 boxes of beer, each one being a 30-pack, which means there were roughly 6,000 beer cans in the house. A lot of what you're seeing on the floor is not just dirt, but animal feces. So almost nothing in this house got saved. It all went to the dumpster. We are not recycling anything from this house. Another important note, or a couple of notes, is that there are a few things we are not going to do. We're not opening the refrigerators. There's a big normal fridge in the kitchen. There's a mini fridge in the living room. There's also a stove/oven. We'll clean the outsides of those, but we're not cleaning the inside because all those are being scrapped. Now, Ari Katarina can clean the insides of them. Clean with Barbie can clean the insides of them. I don't. We're also not cleaning the upstairs because it's basically clean already. They just didn't access it. I think there's a twin bed and so, like a small pile of debris up there, but it's not a big deal. They can just go take that stuff out. But the most important thing, and this is what I really want you to understand here, this is not a case of trying to get this house pristine. We get it looking really good in the end. But our purpose here is to clear out this junk for the new owner and to make this safe enough for them to renovate this house and to gut it without having to wear biohazard gear. The more of this that we get cleaned up, the less of the stuff gets airborne when they start taking sledgehammers to it. I get that question a lot. I get people who ask, well, if it's going to be gutted, why did you bother cleaning it? Well, one, to make it safe for the people who are going to gut it. But two, remember, I'm autistic and this is my hobby and this is what I like to do. So even if they weren't gutting this, even if this house became abandoned, this is what I do for fun because I am a weirdo, son. And it's okay, I can call myself a weirdo. I'm Gen X. We pride ourselves on weirdness. So the first thing we did in this house was we opened every window that could be opened. And then we found, luckily, a box fan that blew out because the smell in here was absolutely horrifying. We would have been wearing Tyvek suits. The only problem is it happened to be like 85 or 90 outside and it was 90 to 95 inside. So at that point, we're not so much worried about the toxicity as we are dehydration and heat stroke. So we masked up, we used gloves during every second of this cleanup. We took frequent breaks and then we were basically washing our arms and all the exposed skin with the equivalent of hand sanitizer. Later, you'll see me doing the bathroom, and in that one, I did put on full Tyvek suit, respirator, gloves, the whole 9 yards, because that was just straight up toxic. Also, on the very last day, this took 4 days, I'm wearing kind of a special outfit, so we'll see if you guys notice it. Anyway, to start this thing off, after we get all the windows open, we're going to get rid of all the trash, or as Ari Katarina would say, let's pick up all the trashes. And there was a lot. We spent 3 days picking up trash, and we filled a 30-yard dumpster clear to the top, wall to wall. You'll see us occasionally stopping to go through paperwork, and that's because there was only one thing they needed from this house, and that was a birth certificate. Unfortunately, this is the only house we've ever encountered where when they asked us to look for a specific thing, we didn't find it. But we gave it our best shot. We went through all the paperwork, and it just wasn't there. This is also a very rare house where we're able to use a snow shovel instead of picking up things one by one. See, in a normal hoarder house, which again, this is not a hoarder house, but in a normal hoarder house, we go through everything because we find so many actually realistically valuable items that if you were to snow shovel it, you're going to be getting rid of valuable items just by mistake, just because you're mass tossing everything. I mean, we found pictures from the 1800s, active credit cards, active life insurance policies, the deed to 30 acres of land, a stray live moose. We just find all kinds of stuff in houses that actually do have value. And so shoveling it is a really, really bad idea in most cases. But I think it's really important for people to see videos like this because this is what severe mental illness looks like. The alcoholism doesn't help. A lot of people will look at a place like this and say, no, if he can throw his beer cans on the floor, he can throw them in a trash can. This is just laziness. That is an exceptional misunderstanding about how the human brain works. This level of mental illness is not operating on the same set of logic that your brain operates on. It's the equivalent of telling somebody with no legs, hey, look, if I can get up and walk across this room, so can you. That part of his psychological makeup and even the neural pathways in his brain are not made the same way. And fortunately, someone finally recognized that and got him into lifelong care. If you notice, we've got a third person helping us out. That's not a new employee. We were so exhausted by the end of day one, and we were so hot and so sweaty. We needed some sort of help to get the rest of this stuff out, especially when it came to like the couches and love seat and all the additional extra trash that was on the floor. One of the neighbors could use a little extra money, so I just paid him $100 in cash to come in and help us for like an hour. Super nice guy. He's autistic, and so when I can, I always like to help out a fellow autistic person, autismer. Also, his dad is the one who's going to be taking the refrigerators and all the extra appliances to scrap. So it was nice to be able to get to know him and talk to him so that he knows it's safe to come in the house and get that stuff. And I know personally, you know, after talking to him that the stuff isn't just going to be set on the front porch and then left there. Also, while we're on the subject of autism, those who watch all of my videos would have caught the live where I discuss this. But I've been going through autistic burnout, and if you don't know what that is, go look it up because it's not the same type of burnout as when a neurotypical person gets burnt out at work because, you know, they've been doing it too long or whatever, and they just need a couple days off to reset their brain. Autistic burnout is way more severe. It has the same symptoms of depression, but the treatment for it is kind of the polar opposite of the treatment for depression. It can last 3 months or more. I've been going through it for at least a month, and so typically whenever you see me cleaning my own house, there's only two reasons for that. Either one, I'm so exhausted I can't make myself go to somebody else's house to clean because I have no energy at all. Or two, I don't have a house in the bag, so I need to come up with some sort of video to, you know, give you guys on the weekends or whatever. When that happens, and this is the sternest you'll ever hear me on the channel, so I'm not being mad at anybody or anything, but you don't get to message me and tell me what to film, where to film it, and when to post it. I received several messages from a few different people who were like, hey, I've seen you clean your own kitchen or your own garage like 5 times. I don't come here to watch you clean your own house. I came here to see you help other people. Those people are now banned. I don't argue with them. I don't respond. They're just out. I demand the same amount of empathy that we show the people we help. If I'm cleaning my own house on a video, there's a reason for it. And the reason, just like in these houses that we're cleaning up, is not that I'm being lazy. It's because I don't have the physical and mental energy to go help someone that particular week. I won't harp on the subject. I'm just letting you know that's my boundary. Whenever I'm wanting to do something to get myself in like a hyped up mood, I listen to my favorite music, not yours. You may want me to dance to Britney Spears, but I'm moshing to Pantera. Anyway, please don't message me saying that you want me to see me cleaning this or that you're tired of seeing me clean that. Just stop watching the channel. Anyway, thank you to the other 99.999% of you who didn't send me messages like that. The only other thing that I'll mention before I move on is that I don't want people asking me to flex in front of the camera. If you've watched for a long time, you know that whenever I do that, my shirt can't handle the pressure and it shoots off of me like a shirt geyser. The last one hit Jason in the head and caused uncontrollable hair growth, and now he's cursed for the rest of his life where he has to get haircuts like every 2 days. I mean, you notice his hair in this video. He just got that cut yesterday. So no, if I flex, I have to do it without a shirt on, and YouTube gets mad when I don't have a shirt on because it kind of breaks their servers. So please just stop asking me to do it. There was one thing in this house that I really wanted to save badly, and it was the kitchen table, because I think it's coming out of somewhere between the 1940s and 1960s, and it looked to be in really, really good condition. I don't think it was a reproduction, and I know that it could be restored. The problem is I would become liable if I gave that to somebody to restore and they became sick because it's covered in animal feces, and I cannot put myself in that position. So unfortunately, it just had to go in the dumpster. And trust me, as much as you hate seeing that, I hate it way, way more. I wanted that table so bad. We also found some 45 RPM records. For those of you who are too young to know what 45s are, they're smaller records that play at a faster speed than a regular album, and they only have 2 songs on them generally. An A-side, which is a single, just a single song that was a hit, and then a B-side, which is just another song from the album. It's almost like a sample. So anytime you hear somebody talk about that song was actually a B-side, well, it was just a throwaway song from the album that was on the opposite side of the hit single. There were a stack of those that I really wanted to keep, but my rule for these houses is I don't keep anything. And I ran into the same problem with those as I ran into the table, is that I don't know if they're toxic. I don't want to give them to anybody. So what I did is I just put them on top of a small pile of stuff that I thought was safe enough to keep if the owner wanted to deal with it. The only thing we kept from this house was given to us by the owner. We found a Nintendo 64 with a stack of games that were actually inside of a cabinet protected from the rest of the house. And we found some pretty good games with it too. We found the original copy of Mario 64, along with the original case, the original books, one of the old 007 games, a WWE game with both Stone Cold and The Rock on the front of it. Pretty much if it was a popular game at the time, this guy had copies of it. So the owner was like, yeah, you can just take those home. Jason took on the liability and responsibility since he's the one who received those, and he's just going to clean them all down with alcohol. The owner was aware that he could sell those and make some money off of them through eBay, but it's something that he just doesn't want to mess with. And it was kind of just a thank you gift for us doing this for free, because everything on the channel, if you're new to the channel, all these cleanups that we do here are free of charge. If I would have charged this guy for this cleanup, I would say it would have been somewhere around a $40,000 job. But, in something like that, instead of a 4-day job, it would have been a 2-week job, because we would have had to clean it into the condition you'll see in the end, and then go back for another week to deep clean it. Now, again, I want to reiterate the purpose here. We're not deep cleaning anything. We're getting it clean enough. We did do a really good job on it. It does shine like a diamond in some rooms when we're done. But the purpose of this cleanup is to make it safe enough for them to gut this house and renovate from the studs out. If they would have just left this house in this condition and then started taking sledgehammers to cabinetry and countertops and whatnot, all the stuff that's on top of there becomes airborne. What we're doing is eliminating that step from that process. We're eliminating that danger. We know how to deal with that stuff, but a lot of people don't. They may look at a place like this and go, well, that's just dirt. But we saw the poop buckets. We saw the urine jugs. We saw the animal feces. We know what's there. And it was not just dirt. That comment about poop buckets was brought to you by today's sponsor, which is me. I'd like to thank me for all the support that I give this channel. Without me, this channel would not exist. Enter promo code ALLME for 10% off of this video that you paid nothing to watch. Thanks, me.
Well, at least you got Bush Light, otherwise that'd be really heavy.
Oh, hey, look, more Bush Light. I want to give a couple of shout outs to different channels while we're watching me still go through all this trash. As far as cleaning channels go, my 3 favorites are obviously Ari Katarina. Clean with Barbie. She's probably my absolute favorite because she does what you're seeing in this video. That's what she deals with in all of her videos. And then A Beautiful Mess. She is the same flavor of autism as me, and she is really good at organizing. She doesn't really clean up the stuff that we clean up, like the really big nasty messes, but she's really good at taking a room that is hoarded or boxed up and stuff is everywhere. She's very, very good at organizing those things and putting them into categories and creating space where you never knew space existed. I also want to give a special shout out to one of my favorite mowing channels ever, which is SB Mowing. His name is Spencer, and he's out of Kansas, and he mows lawns for free, so he's doing outside what we do to the insides. The OG lawnmower guy, Lawn Care Care Juggernaut has two channels, Lawn Care Juggernaut, and also a channel called The Boring Channel. And basically, they're kind of the same channel, except for on Lawn Care Juggernaut, he narrates and talks. On The Boring Channel, typically he doesn't. He just mows and with no extra narration. I'm going to try to remember to throw out occasional shout-outs like this because there's a lot of channels that I watch that seem to have some overlap with what you all watch. So I figure if I like those channels, you'll likely like those channels as well. And if not, you can just lick a butt licker. For those of you who watch my channel all the time, especially if you watch A Beautiful Mess as well, Bonnie will be at my house on the 17th of this month, and we're going to spend a week together doing some sort of house and do a collaboration. Then later this summer, it'll be me, A Beautiful Mess, and Clean with Barbie doing another house in a triple collaboration. I've also talked to Lawn Care Juggernaut, and at some point, I'm going to help him with the lawn, and he's going to help me with the house. And I cannot wait for that because I think it's going to be super cool. And if you watch any of those channels that I just listed, if you want to give them a holler in their comments and let them know that Midwest Magic Cleaning gave them a shout out, that would be super awesome. But if you don't, it's back to butt licking. Not putting up with your butt licking ways. Not putting up with it. One thing I think it's really important to note, when you're cleaning a house like this, the normal kind of rules of thumb that you would use to clean a regular house go right out the window. So normally you would clean from the top down and you would wipe all the stuff on the counters onto the floor so you could sweep it up later, or you do all the cobwebs first and then go to the window sills, then the floor or whatever. Typically we don't sweep the floors until the last step. We'll sweep, then we'll mop. In a house like this, you'll end up sweeping a floor about 6 or 7 times no matter what you do. When we got into the mopping section, we will mop the floors 6 or 7 times because each time you do it, you're taking off a new layer of dirt and you're dealing with extremely dirty mop water, even after just one pass on a section that's like 3 foot by 3 foot. So the reason I say that is because you're going to see us sweeping some floors and then going to the walls and then, doing things in almost a reverse order. And again, the reason we're doing that is because it quite frankly doesn't matter. The only reason I'm going to sweep a floor in the middle of a cleanup like this is because I'm tired of the crunching feeling underneath my shoes. Or we're going to start tracking that mess from the living room into the kitchen and just all over the house as we traipse across it. You're probably also wondering what we did with our clothes after a cleanup this bad. I threw my shoes away after this. We threw away all the cleaning equipment that we used, all brooms, mops, dustpans. Pants and shirts are fine. You can just wash those with regular laundry, though I tend to wash them separately. So like all the outfits that I wore during this cleanup will go into their own load of laundry because I may wash them once or twice. All of the rags that we used got thrown away. Then anything that is too expensive to throw away, like a shop vac, that'll be cleaned out by dumping the stuff that's in it and then cleaning the entire thing out with alcohol. For those of you who are new to the channel, the reason I'm not using bleach is because I'm allergic to it. I break out in super bad hives even with the smallest amount of bleach. The next best thing to bleach is alcohol and sometimes ammonia. Now you have to be careful if you're using ammonia because one, it's really toxic, the fumes are, but also there's a lot of bacteria that actually eat ammonia as a food. If you've ever had a fish tank and you know about the nitrogen cycle, then you know that fact. If not, look up the nitrogen cycle on an aquarium channel and then good luck getting out of that rabbit hole. But what I typically like to do is ammonia-based products are very, very good at cutting grease and grime. Then when you follow that with a sanitizing spray that's alcohol-based, that's very good at killing bacteria and germs. But before we can do any of that, obviously we have to get all the trash out first. If you're wondering how long it takes for the smell to get out of here, it happens in layers. After you remove all the trash, there's going to be a noticeable difference. Then after you clean it the initial time, like a rough cut cleaning, then it'll ease up a little bit. But we kept the windows open 24/7 while we were cleaning this. When we first walked in, the smell was so bad that most of you watching this video wouldn't have even been able to walk into the door. It was so bad, I'm not even going to describe what it smelled like. Just know that most of you would have stepped into the front door, caught an accidental whiff, and then just flopped off into the sunset like Daffy Duck in an old Bugs Bunny cartoon. It was so bad that just walking by the bathroom made Jason sick, like physically throw up. Because of that, there are a couple things I'm not going to show you in this video. I mentioned earlier in the beginning that I'm not going to show the toilet. I mean, the toilet's going to be there. You'll see it in the background, but I'm not going to show it being cleaned because it was exceptionally bad even for me. But one pointer for any of you who ever do encounter something like this, maybe you've got a friend or a family who's a hoarder and they pass away and you've got to deal with the aftermath. If you have a toilet that won't flush and it's not clogged, and you have the added circumstance of there being no water in the house, like the water's turned off or the plumbing is broken, remember that a toilet operates, at least American toilets operate, by pulling the lever, which opens a flap in the back of the toilet, which releases a couple gallons of water into the main part of the toilet from the tank. So it floods that with water. The weight of the water gets heavy enough that it forces its way through the trap, and that's why the water goes down the toilet. You don't have to remember all that. I'm just telling you that because the simple way to flush a toilet is just to get a bucket of water from a neighbor's garden hose or whatever and dump it straight into the toilet bowl. The weight of what you just dumped in there will cause the toilet to flush. You don't have to fill up the tank or anything. If you dump a bunch of water in there and it doesn't flush on its own, that means it's clogged. So fortunately, in this situation, I was able to get the toilet to flush. When I was done with that, I took bleach-based toilet cleaner. I made sure I had my gloves on, and I was very careful to not get it on me. And I doused the toilet inside and out, and then I doused the actual sink itself with toilet cleaner and let it set for 24 hours. Again, I'm not going to show you that part because ew. If you're wondering what that stuff is in the bathtub, you'll get a better shot of that here in just a little bit. The ceiling had caved in pretty much every room, and right above the bathtub is where critters had made a whole bunch of nests and stuff. So squirrels, raccoons, possums, whatever. When the ceiling tiles fell off, all that debris fell into the tub, and that's basically compacted soil. The reason I'm telling you that is because knowing that he had urine jugs and poop buckets, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he could have been going in his bathtub. Fortunately, that was not the case. Finally, the trash is done, so we could jump to the things like walls and floors and windowsills. All we're doing is taking a broom to get all the cobwebs down and to get the extra junk off the walls. Then we're going to spray everything down with Lysol, let it set for a couple of minutes, and then wipe everything down. And that got all the old bug poop and sticky stuff off. We did not clean the windows themselves, the glass. And the only reason we didn't do that is because we would have had to have done it outside with a ladder, and the whole house has got like shrubbery and trees and overgrowth all the way around it. And we were more concerned about the state of the house itself than the actual window glass. Then we just used a shop vac on all the window sills themselves to get all the dead flies and leaves out of it, which I think that was super satisfying. That was fun to do. We won't show you every single window in every single room in the house where we did the wipe downs and vacuum, but we did do them all. I just wanted to skip ahead a little bit so we can get straight to the kitchen, because this is kind of the heart and soul of the type of content that we do on the channel. This transformation in this kitchen is mind-boggling. Basically, what we did was we soaked down every inch of the kitchen in Lysol. Walls, countertops, cabinets, absolutely everything got Lysol. Then while that's doing its job, we just took a break for like 30 minutes. Then when we came back in, we just misted the whole room with Lysol again just to re-wet it. And all of that gunk on the cabinet doors just wipes right off. You have to do a tiny bit of scrubbing, but not much. So we're going to do that to all the cabinetry. Then I'm going to save the actual countertop for last because it'll be the same method, but it'll take a little bit more work. Plus, I didn't want Lysol sitting for a long time on these cabinets because then it can soak into the wood and warp them. And I don't know if they're going to restore these cabinets or if they're going to rip them out and replace them entirely. Hopefully, they just rip them out and replace them. Because I know if I moved into this house, I would not want anything left in here at all. I'd want everything to be ripped down to the studs and replaced all the way around. While you're watching us do that, I want to address the most important question that I get on the channel by a long shot. It's the one I get the most often. I get asked at least 50 times a week, hey, can you come clean my place in name a state? And then I have to tell them, yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm in South Central Illinois. It's too far away. I'm not really set up to travel. And then people will always ask me the question, do you know anybody in my area who does what you do? And the thing is, there's no non-sarcastic way to say, why would I know that? Because there's no reason for me to know of another cleaner who lives in Wisconsin or Michigan or Iowa or whatever. I know maybe 5 people on the planet who do what I do. And one lives in New York, one lives in Utah, one lives in Finland, and then there's me. This is not a service that really exists. These are people who just love to do this type of stuff and decided to start filming it and putting it on YouTube. So I'll tell you what I tell most people. There are resources out there for people who don't have the ability to clean their own place, like if they're disabled or mentally ill. And the way to find those resources is to go through your local health department. That's the first place I would stop and ask about programs, or just ask if they know how to help, and they may be able to find some sort of service somewhere. There may be something at your local chamber of commerce, like they just might know someone who does it. Otherwise, if you go to a church, there's somewhere in your congregation somebody's going to be able to help you out. But as far as finding somebody who will, 1, come in and clean your house for free, 2, understands hoarding disorder, ADHD, mental illness, addiction, 3, will clean your house with those things in mind, and 4, will actually pay out of pocket for all the things that they need to actually make that happen. There's no service that does that. That's just me. I even get some people who will say, I'll pay for your flight, your hotel, your food, I'll pay you for cleaning the house and all that. It's not about the money, it's about the time, and I just don't have the time to go to another state and do that. Because remember, even outside of cleaning these places, and even outside of maintaining and running the YouTube channel and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all that combined, which is 100 hours a week on its own, I still have a regular life that I have to live. My wife is going through brain surgery in 2 months. I've got a dog who's on her last legs and isn't going to make it through the end of the year. We have flooring ripped up in my house that I have to replace. If Emily were to go with me on one of these trips, I've got a dog and 3 cats that need to be cared for. There are a lot of factors outside of the videos and outside of the cleaning that people often forget about because all they see me doing is producing these videos. But remember, on top of all of those things that I just mentioned, I have a pro wrestling career that I'm trying to prepare for. I mean, I'm 50 and not muscular or athletic, and I don't know how to wrestle, but I have dreams, and Chris Jericho's not going to just suplex himself. time to do the nasty. So I'm putting on my suit. I'm putting on gloves. We're using clear gloves because the ones that we had, the blue ones, were kind of flimsy and broke easy, but we had these clear ones that were actually super tough. I'm pointing that out because it looks like I'm not wearing gloves in some of this cleanup, but I actually am. We also got a brand new respirator, so I'm definitely putting that on before I go into this bathroom. Since we didn't have water, I think that's one of the more impressive parts of this bathroom cleanup is we had no water. So I had to use a pump-up sprayer with Lysol, and not only use that to clean with, I had to use it to rinse with. And then I just went through rag after rag after rag, wiping things off in layers. But before I could even start on the bathtub, I had to start shoveling all that stuff out of there, and thank God it was just soil. But I filled half of a 60-gallon trash can with all that debris, and it weighed at least 200 pounds. I know when I lifted it, I had trouble lifting it, and it felt about the same weight as like 1/3 of a moose. So if you've ever lifted like the back 1/3 of a moose, that's exactly how much this trash can weighed. All of these floors were mopped a minimum of 4 times, and a couple of them got mopped upwards of 6. That being said, we could have genuinely mopped them 6 more times, and they would have become cleaner and cleaner every time we did it. But at some point, you just have to stop and say, okay, that's as good as I can get it for right now. Otherwise, I will be here for the next week deep cleaning. But I think this is my favorite part of the cleanups, besides the kitchen counters. I think the floors are my favorite parts because it's such a dramatic difference between what it was and what it becomes. It genuinely makes it look in comparison like a brand new room. Members got to see a large portion of this house being cleaned live, by the way. If you don't know, we have a members section. We have 3 tiers. The bottom tier gets you access to Discord. The middle tier gets you an additional video every week, usually on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I also do lives for members. And then there's a top tier called Team Filth. And that tier is a ridiculous amount per month. It's like $25 a month. But that was requested by members who wanted to be able to contribute in a more meaningful way monetarily. They don't really expect extra stuff, but I try to give them Team Filth only lives while I'm cleaning up the places that you see on video. So I'll just turn on a live like once a week and just BS with them while we're cleaning. If you can't afford memberships, please don't do it. I want you to take care of yourself before you contribute to something like this. Jason and I do fine financially. This is just an extra way to help support the channel and continue doing these free cleanings because all this is out of pocket for us. The member section is just a little bit extra for people who like the channel and want to get a little deeper into our lives. Also, I apologize for people who have heard me say this over the last several videos, but I'm going to say it for those who don't know about it yet. Jason is having a baby for the first time, which means I'm going to be a grandfather for the first time. And many people on the channel had asked us to post a baby registry so they could buy stuff for them. But Jason is going to be overloaded with baby stuff. However, his house was in dire need of repairs, and that was going to take him about 2 years to do. So instead of a baby registry, the members said they would be cool with doing a PayPal thing where people just donate to the repair of his house. So far, they have paid for all of his flooring to be replaced with vinyl plank. So all of his carpet and ruined floors are going to be gone. They've already done the living room, and they're coming back this coming week to do the rest of the house. He has windows that have to be replaced, and he has some drywall issues. So what we're doing is we're taking donations in lieu of a baby registry, and 100% of that money goes to the repair of Jason's house. That's on PayPal only. I don't use any other cash system except PayPal. And the username there is just my email address, midwestmagiccleaning@gmail.com. I will leave that in the description of the video. Again, if you can't afford that, please, dear God, don't donate to it. This is stuff that Jason will be able to do on his own, and I'll be able to help him. It just takes more time because it's not cheap. And the donations basically reduce that time from 2 years down to 2 months. The goal is to have the house completely done before the baby arrives in October. And a sincere thank you for everybody who's donated to that. It genuinely has been life-changing for Jason and his wife. Okay, and then one more note, and then I'll quit rambling. I have to say this about once every couple of weeks. I only have 4 social media accounts. This YouTube channel, 1 Facebook page, 1 Instagram page, and 1 TikTok channel. Anything that's not those 4 things, which are all linked in the description of this video, is a fraud and a scam, and their goal is to try to scam you out of money. I do not have alternate pages anywhere. I don't have secret pages. I don't have alternate accounts. Those 4 that are linked in the description is all I have. So if your question is, you DM me and you say, hey, I found this page, it's a Midwest Magic Cleaning group, is that you? The answer is always no. If it's not linked in the description, it's not mine, it's a fake. I don't want to see people getting ripped off. So please don't follow those pages. Please turn them in. Please report them, because there are a lot of people out there who are gullible, and I don't mean that as an insult, but they're easily tricked into parting with their money, and I'd definitely rather not see that money go to thieves. Anyway, members, I will see you this Wednesday. Everybody else, I'll see you next weekend. Later.